Initial testing is making Zenobia look absolutely monster as a garrison commander in Rise of Kingdoms. In this video, we do our own Ark of Osiris testing, and yeah, you're going to want to see these reports. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming. Today, we're going to be getting a look at some crazy battle reports that we tested ourselves in an Ark of Osiris practice match, showcasing how nutty Zenobia actually is. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, consider smashing that subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. In our kingdom, we spend a lot of time thinking about exactly how good different commanders are and literally putting them to the test. And so when our test results came back and were astonishingly positive for the Zenobia, yeah, there's definitely something we need to be talking about here. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the test methods we used. We're also going to flip through a bunch of these reports, which includes at one point swarming the garrison, includes at one point reinforcing rallies. Spoiler alert, Zenobia is just a beast. And I want to call attention to the fact that Zenobia won every single test we did against Attila Takeda, and the Zenobia we used is not even expertise. It's a 5-5-5 for Zenobia. Now you may be wondering, whoa, like why are you testing without an expertise Zenobia? I'm going to put something up on the screen that I've seen floating around. It's a battle log of an expertise Zenobia where it's possible she might be bugged and giving 30% extra damage for some amount of time, which is not listed in her expertise skill, but is listed in some battle logs, or maybe I'm just getting trolled. But either way, we tested without an expertise Zenobia, and she still won, which means when she's expertised, she's only going to be better than what you see here. Now, these buffs indicate that we are, in fact, wearing equipment. Abe is wearing his best equipment. I am wearing my best equipment. And it is worth mentioning that I should have had a 10% cavalry defense skin. I forgot and was using my skill damage skin, the Saints Halo. So the report could have gone a little bit better for the Attila with the right city skin. The report also would go a good bit better for Abe if he had his Zenobia expertise. So I think these are fairly reasonable testing conditions. We did this in Ark of Osiris, where everybody's got a bonus 200% attack. That could throw everything off. But let's just look at some of these reports. Here you see an Attila Takeda battling into Zenobia Constantine. And the Constantine demolishes as a pairing. We know Constantine was really good against cavalry anyways. He reduces the damage taken by like 10%. He has a ton of health, which is going to stack really well with the Zenobia. I mean, this pair is pretty nutty. 143,000 for the Zenobia Constantine and 226,000 for the Attila Takeda. Now, look, my concern with a report like this is that Constantine is going to proc his really big heal when he gets below 50%. And because Zenobia is doing a lot of healing, the tail end of the fight, when she's winning, she's just going to be healing and healing and healing and recovering more and more troops and winning by more and more and more. So I don't know exactly how accurate this is, okay? And I mention that because in the rally where we reinforced it, we do in fact call the rally early. Instead of letting it run long, we cancel it early, and the result is very, very different. So we need to talk about that. Here is that Zenobia Constantine report I was just talking about. Okay, where we canceled the rally. Part of the way through, we did 2 reinforcements to the rally. We did 2 reinforcements to the garrison. So it's same. They joined about the fastest that they could. I'll have some video probably playing in the corner up top so you can see a little bit of what that actually looked like when it was happening. And this report is a lot closer, okay? And this, I think, is much more representative of what a longer running rally might look like. In fact, over time, I would expect a longer running rally to favor the Attila and Takeda a little bit more. So this report gives me a little bit of pause here to say, you know, is this actually working as well as we think? Or are we just seeing an astonishing amount of healing toward the end of the fight that heavily favors Zenobia, so she's actually gaining troops instead of losing them? And that causes a lot of sevs for the attacker, a huge differential in sevs, in fact. So this to me looks a lot more like our reality that I would expect to see. But I do want to call something to your attention here, which is that even if this is the reality, What I want to call your attention to is the fact that when you are rallying, you have 100% of your wounds be lost troops. Whereas in a defense, you're only going to have 50% of your severes be lost troops. So this, even if Attila Takeda are winning, and they aren't, but even if they were winning, like, look, like you're only going to have half of this number show up as dead troops. The other half are going to be in the hospital. So this is a very impressive report, I think, still for the Zenobia Constantine. I think we do need to compare this to some other things, a full gear test with like just a Charles Martel Constantine, a YSS, and Theo, for example. And we do also need to test a Zenobia Theo, but there were some things we tested, of course, beyond just the Constantine. I wanted to test a Richard just to see how nutty the healing would be. And I'll point out over here that the number of troops remaining is much higher for the Zenobia Richard combo. You would expect this than the other combos that we tested with. So this is good in a situation where your healing is not actually being countered. Looking to the next report, we did a Zenobia Charles Martel. This did not perform as well as the Zenobia Constantine did. Now, I would expect a Charles Martel primary might actually perform better. However, the gear was on the Zenobia. We wanted to do a with gear test, a little bit more like a dress rehearsal, closer to the real thing if you were battling an Ark of Osiris. Because, like, look, there are people that are going to be battling an Ark of Osiris this weekend in League, and they're going to be really curious about these sorts of results. I'm sure they're doing their own testing. So looking in at this next report, we tested a Zenobia Wu Zetian, and this performed very, very admirably. I think that when you compare to the Constantine, I think Wu Zetian would do much, much better as a secondary if you think you're being swarmed. I also think there's an opportunity to refine the build so that you take advantage of the healing-related talents in the support tree, particularly the one that makes you do extra damage after you get a heal. Like, yeah, like 9% extra attack or damage or whatever that is going to be really good when Wu is healing, Zenobia is healing twice. Like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. We ran one report with a swarm. So I swarmed the garrison with a Guan and Alex combo, and the garrison got reinforced once. And I wanted to see, like, how much does it mess things up if we still have the same number of troops involved, but we are interfering with the healing of the garrison. And so here is that rally that was happening with that other swarm at the same time. And like, the garrison did just fine. So if the garrison is getting reinforced, then it's going to be a fine situation. I still worry, however, if the garrison is getting mega swarmed down, if the healing disruption of like a bunch of Ramses is going to be catastrophic. And honestly, for that reason, I feel in Ark of Osiris League in particular, like the Zenobia with the Theodora secondary is probably your best bet, or a Theodora primary Zenobia secondary, also really, really solid. I think that could work very well. Also, you lose out on the infantry tree talents and the support tree talents, but the thing you gain from having the Theodora primary is a few really nice talents in leadership, and then a whole bunch of really exceptional talents from the defense tree. In this next report, we satiated Negan's curiosity. He used a Esong and Theodora as the garrison. We brought full archers. This is what that looks like. The garrison loses. Okay, going to the next report here, we tested a Charles Martel primary with a Zenobia secondary. Now, you may recall I said we had no gear on the Charles. This Charles Martel has no equipment on him. Okay? No equipment. And he did just fine. Like, honestly, did just fine. So I am inclined to believe that Charles Martel primary, especially when you have the equipment on him, is going to look better. But for posterity, I'm going to put the troop buffs up here. If there were a few stray pieces of equipment, I don't want to be inaccurate. So here is exactly what the stat breakdown looks like in this particular encounter. Now, last but not least, we did a rerun of the Wu Zetian secondary to the Zenobia, and it's still like very, very impressive. This is a rally that we just let run until the very end. It's not a rally that we were reinforcing. That's a trickier test to run, quite frankly, but the result here is pretty astonishing. Now, when we talk about how applicable these tests really are, I think this testing in Ark of Osiris is most applicable for Ark of Osiris. You want to know if you hold the garrison or not. And I have to hand it to the Zenobia for being very, very exceptional at holding the garrison. With that said, how's it going to hold up against a bunch of swarming? I don't really know. And how valid is this testing for the real world applicability of defending flags and also strongholds and all the holy sites that you care about? There too, I'm not entirely sure. I think she'll perform really well. I'm tempted to expertise her myself, but because we don't have a major event where we need it right away, we're going to wait probably a little bit closer to when our KVK actually pops to make that major investment, because heck, who knows, right? Like, it could be that there's new archers commanders that are running around countering this already by the time that we enter into our next KVK. Seems unlikely, right? But I'm just emphasizing for a moment the importance of saving your sculptures till you actually need to spend them. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if there's any testing you'd like to see us do with Zenobia, we'll have a bunch of these expertise in our alliance floating around. I know I'm like crazy patient, but most people won't be. We can test Zenobia more. In particular, I'd be eager to hear what combos you want to see run against the Zenobia garrison. Pick the garrison, pick the rally combos, and we might go run some things at it and see how they do. I'm very tempted to see how well archers perform against Zenobia garrisons, and I think we're entering into an age in Rise of Kingdoms where, like, look, after KVK Season 3, you really enter a world in which each garrison should probably have multiple captains in there if you can swing it, and you switch to the more relevant captain based on what they're rallying with. And I suppose it's more fair to say that that's relevant in KVK Season 4 or 5 and beyond. Basically, once you have your YSS Theodora in the mix, you have a lot of options for what you can switch to. So I think there's a lot of possibilities there, and I'm eager to see what we'll figure out with this commander. If you're interested in my full Zenobia guide, I'll have a card up in the top that gives you everything you need to know about the talents you might want to use. And heck, I'll flash on the screen real quick the talents that we used on the Attila Takeda and the talents that we used on the Zenobia. Throw a like on here if you enjoyed this. That does support the channel and honestly goes a very long way. And consider subscribing for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.